you know, a big achievement to obviously secure their place at the World Cup and one of the primary things they came here to do. But, you know, a difficult performance on the night for Canada. They would have wanted to score more goals than that. You know, it leaves them in an interesting position in terms of winning the group. The tiebreaker's not quite in their favor now in terms of the Costa Rica game. So, yeah, there's still some questions to be answered in terms of how this team plays against those very, very defensive sides. And, you know, the fear for Canada, or the anxiety maybe is a better word, is going to be, you know, what if a team like Costa Rica or Jamaica or Haiti, who could be a bit more expansive, have the quality to be a bit more expansive, watch games like this and just think, well, if we just take that approach against Canada, we're going to have a real chance, you know, in the semi-final or in this last group game. And Canada's going to have to find answers to that. They just didn't do it quite well enough tonight.
Very true. And, you know, obviously the Canadians will find out who they will face in the semifinal, because to your point, that game against Costa Rica will matter on Monday, because not only are they tied on points, they're tied on goals as well. They've both scored 7 goals in this competition. So that'll be a doozy on Monday night. Here are the teams who have clinched already to the 2023 World Cup. So you can see already Concacaf now starting to fill out. So the United States, of course, they've clinched in their group. They're in Group A. And then in Group B, Costa Rica and Canada have done so. 2023 World Cup will be co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. The last time the Canadians went to the World Cup was 2019, and they went by beating Panama in the semifinal 2018. That final score on that night, D, was 7-0. I'm sure they would have loved the 7 goals again. But once again, booking their ticket to the World Cup by beating this Panamanian side. Let's get to the Gatorade performance of the match. Someone who is scoring goals, though, Ollie, Julia Grosso, just can't stop, won't stop.
Yeah, she had this chance earlier on in the match and then would go on to get the goal. And look, that's sometimes what it takes, right? You know, it's you can focus on the team aspects of the performance and, you know, getting the ball into the right areas, creating chances in a systematic way. But sometimes you also need those moments of improvisation and quality, and this is one from Julia Grosso to get the winning goal. We've criticized Canada before for not being kind of instinctive and quick enough when the ball comes in the box and taking more shots first time. So it takes some courage there, I think, to take that extra touch and just buy yourself that bit of time and space. It's a brilliant little chop to the right and then a composed finish. And look, like we said before, the game based on the performance against Trinidad and Tobago, this is a player who's really staking their claim to be in that starting lineup when the big moments come later in this tournament.
What did you like about her play? The second game in a row here, this time, by the way, being in the starting 11.
Yeah, and we said it's a bit different being in the starting 11. I just love the composed nature of that finish. I mean, that's easily one where she had the defender in front of her. She could have just taken the shot, would have been blocked. Little extra composure, little touch, great finish. Yeah, and it was, I mean, I feel like I've been so calm on the couch. We're like, oh, 1-0 against Panama. That last one in 2019 qualifying, I think it was 1-0 at halftime for that game. And it was the same thing. It's just one of these games where if you get those 1 or 2 goals, sometimes the goals start rolling. And for this game, it was just a frustrating CONCACAF performance for Canada. And it's not the first time, and it probably won't be the last time, unfortunately.
I think there were more Panamanian players going down in the game than there were shots on either target.
It was incredible. Like, because this is the kind of person I am, I was counting all the stoppages during that second half, and there should have been at least 9 or 10 minutes added on. That's a conservative estimate. We got 6. So it works, right? Like, you just eat away at the clock. And it's not just about the time you waste as well. It's the way you break the game up and disrupt Canada's flow. Like, it just makes it so difficult.
Yeah, and those are the most frustrating games to play in. And we've been part of games before against teams like that. I think it was a Jamaica game specifically. The staff broke it down after the game, and we only played about 62 minutes of football. And the rest, it was throw-ins and it was injuries. And it's tough as a player. And as much as you're aware of it and you try not to be flustered and you try not to be frustrated, it is just very hard to get that flow of play because it literally keeps stopping every time you do.
Yeah, no, it was stop and go. But you know what? The Canadians, they maintain their composure. Julia Grosso, by the way, likes to maintain her composure in the box because that goal that we just saw here tonight was very similar to her second goal on Tuesday as well, where she got the ball, wasn't in the best position, did a little touch, brought it to her right foot, and then ended up scoring. So does not panic when she's in close to goal. Let's hear from Julia Grosso.
Julia, 3 big goals for you in the last 2 games. What is this moment feeling like for you?
No, it's a surreal feeling. I'm so happy for me and my teammates to qualify for a World Cup. It was definitely a tough one today, but I'm glad we got the win and glad to have amazing teammates to support throughout this journey.
And leaving today's match, Canada takes 3 points and a World Cup berth, as you just mentioned. Thoughts on the team's performance so far in the tournament?
No, I think we've done good. We always lean on each other. Once again, I thought today was a tougher one. I thought we could have scored some more goals, but all in all, we got the job done, and we're ready for the next game. Thank you.
And it's going to be a big one, as we mentioned on Monday against Costa Rica, the battle for top spot in the group. Let's get to the All-State save of the match. This one was just to start the second half. Adriana Leon just manages to get her boot on it and wires it, forcing the Panamanian goalkeeper, Bailey, to make a save. Just tipped that one right over the bar. I wonder, Manchester United is probably watching that D going, ooh, I hope she whizzes some more like that, but they find the back of the net.
Yeah, I mean, Canada gets criticized for not shooting outside the box enough. I think we did have a few attempts, and Dree loves that sort of chance. I can just picture her on her own training time, 1v1 with her trainer, just ripping shots from outside the box. So, yeah, I think she needed a little more height, a little more curl on that one, but she'll be disappointed that didn't go in.
Yeah, and I mean, it's to the point, and as, again, we're going to say Canada got the job done here. But when it still was scoreless, I mean, Ollie, we were talking about Bailey perhaps also being the performer of the match, because the goalkeeper, had to stand tall here tonight against Canada.
She was very good. I think specifically on Adriana Leon, and you can add in Nichelle Prince, Deanne Rose came on as well. That's something Canada needs to think about, is those front two, or the wide players who come inside, however you want to label them. They're not getting enough out of those players right now. I don't know whether that's a tactical thing or just the balance of the individuals, finding someone who's in a bit of form, right? But from an attacking perspective, all of those players, I think, have found it tough.
Mm-hmm. All right, well, one more game to go in the group stage for the Canadians. They will take on Costa Rica. That's 7 p.m. Eastern time. That'll be on OneSoccer and CBC Sports as well. Battle for top spot in the group. But already one mission has been accomplished. Both Costa Rica and Canada are going to the World Cup. When we return, we'll take you to highlights from other games around this tournament. Some games were yesterday. One was earlier today as well. Stay with us. It's the Concacaf W Championship on OneSoccer.
A lot has changed since you got your last perfect vehicle. You met someone. You got a dog. Your best friend met someone too. You got new interests. A new hobby. You felt a little more adventurous. You found a bigger hobby. You explored a little more. You needed a vehicle that reflected the new you. You found it. The all-new Toyota Corolla Cross. Your new perfect.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis, and all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on OneSoccer.ca.
Welcome to Allstate. Here, we know you have a few reasons to slow down. But we've got one more. Safe drivers save 30% with DriveWise. The safer you drive, the more you save with Allstate. Click or call for a quote today.
For life's transitions, working from home, and even small businesses, life gets better when you have space. With no long-term contracts or leases, get the size you need. Access Storage, proud partner of Canada Soccer and the women's national team. Congratulations.
So let's get you caught up in some other matches around this tournament. Jamaica with the stunner 1-0 over Mexico to open things up, but they're in tough against the Americans. Sophia Smith makes it 1-0 in the 5th minute. 8th minute, it's Smith again, chips in, crosses the line despite Jamaica's attempt to block. Let's take you to the 59th minute. Rose Lavelle gets the goal here for the Americans. 2 more they would get on the night. 5-0 the final. USA beating Jamaica in this one. 68% possession, 20 shots there, USA, Jamaica. We wondered how the U.S. would look because we also know they're rebuilding, but they just haven't missed a beat, Dee.
Yeah, and I think Sophia Smith looked really good in this one. She put her mark on the game. I know Rian Wilkinson in Portland was excited to see that.
Let's take you now to Haiti, Mexico. Can the host nation bounce back after opening up the tournament with a loss? Well, right out of the gate, they give up a penalty kick, 13th minute. Rosa Borghea for Haiti scores. And there you go, 67th minute, Nerelia Mondeser, foul in the box. And what are we seeing here, 74th minute? Okay, so we're actually going to see another penalty. There was another one earlier, 74th minute, Greta Espinoza fouls. They ended up going down to 10 men. That was a little fast. That was a little complicated. Bottom line is Mexico go down to 10 men. They give up 2 goals on penalty kicks. They lose to Haiti. 3-0 is your final there. Not a good look for the host nation. They are out of being able to qualify for the Olympics. They have a slim chance of still being able to qualify for Gold Cup and the World Cup.
Yeah, we'll get to Haiti because they've been sensational, but Mexico, this is a disaster of a tournament, right? You know, we've built this team up as, you know, a team that's improving to really challenge Canada and the United States, maybe in Concacaf. Just a complete write-off so far, this W Championship.
Talking to a lot of people heading into this tournament, hey, myself included, I thought the top 3 were going to be in no particular order, right? Canada, USA, Mexico, but the Mexicans already out. Trinidad and Tobago versus Costa Rica. This was earlier today, 17th minute. Kristen Grandos gets the goal for Costa Rica. 25th minute, Trinidad now down to 10 men. 2 yellows were picked up in that one, so they too go down. And then this would be an own goal, 33rd minute, they got an own goal. 44th minute, Grandos again gets the goal here. So 4-0 Costa Rica. So just like the Canadians undefeated and just like the Canadians tied on 7 goals.
Yeah, and you feel for Trinidad and Tobago in this one. A couple unlucky goals there against own goal and a deflection. But I think, you know, we all expected Costa Rica to come out on top on this one, and that's who Canada is going to face to win the group.
All right, so here's how the standings look. Group A, Group B. As mentioned, the Americans, they too have already clinched to go to the World Cup. It's going to be a good battle there between Haiti and Jamaica for that second spot, right? And as we mentioned, Mexico, really slim chance, though, because remember, the 2 third-place teams do have a chance to still qualify for the World Cup. They go into an interconfederation playoff. So right now, of course, Panama looking to get that spot as well in that group against Canada, because Canada and Costa Rica are on their way to the World Cup. But with Costa Rica, this is a group that has lost 1 match in their last 11. They did not qualify for the 2019 World Cup, but they just look like a team that's on a mission as well.
Yeah, good team. It's going to be a real test for Canada. It wasn't easy in the 2020 Olympic qualifying tournament, the quarterfinal, I think it was, if I remember correctly. That was not an easy match. They look like they've improved since then. And again, it becomes interesting to see just how they'll approach this game. Like, how much respect are they going to show Canada, knowing, again, as we've just seen, that Canada can struggle sometimes when they're faced with that low block. And creating chances against the Canadians, I think, is going to be the big challenge for them, as it has been for Panama and Trinidad. But a bit more quality, or quite a bit more quality, I think, in that Costa Rica team. It's not going to be an easy game.
Yeah, they're going to be a step up than the last 2 games for Canada, but this is the typical game that Canada faces in these tournaments against a team that Canada is a notch above this type of opponent, and it is a game you expect Canada to win. You know, we haven't been upset since 2004, I would say, against Mexico, but these are always the most nerve-wracking games because they are games you are expected to win, but you always know that a team like Costa Rica, if there's a foul, a free kick, a bit of magic, they can put a goal in, and you never know.
I do want to just turn our attention just quickly here to the host nation, because you had mentioned it, Ollie. I mean, this is a team, this is a nation that we've looked to say, all right, you know, they've put a league in place as well. We have seen them on the rise. They've given Canada problems, in fact, when they played a couple games against them in the fall. And we thought for sure, again, this would be a battle here between the top 3 teams in CONCACAF. Much like we see it on the men's side, it was very much mirrored on the women's side. How big of a shock is this, though?
It's a big shock, I think. Maybe not in terms of the practicalities of the games themselves, because again, it's a Mexico team that I think has been done on the counter-attack a couple of times, and that can happen in a tournament. But you know, for them to lose 2 games, to already be out at this stage, to be clinging on to their World Cup hopes, it's a massive disappointment for them. And I think in the last 12 months in Mexican football, men's and women's, have been terrible. Like when you look at it, I know the men's team is qualified for the World Cup, but they weren't convincing at all. A lot of fans want Tata Martino fired, even though they did qualify. On the club side, MLS team wins the Champions League for the first time ever. Now the women's team, falling way short in this tournament. Like, it's just been a catastrophe of a year or so for Mexico.
Yeah, that said, I think they're doing the right things in the women's domestic game. We've spoken about their league. The truth is, this league kicked off only a few years ago, and when they did, they put a focus on young players. They limited the amount of players over the age of 23. They really focused on developing talent. So I think we're really 5 to 8 years probably away from seeing the type of player who benefits from that system and makes the national team. And then I think the key differentiator is there's no big star. There's no big threat in the Mexican team right now. And back when they upset us back in 2004, they had Mirabel Dominguez. And we knew as long as Mirabel Dominguez was on the field, there was a chance Mexico was going to score goals. And it really does take 1 or 2 start players in the international game to break down teams like Canada, and they're lacking that right now. Yeah,
bottom line, though, is we know Mexico loves their soccer. This will be crushing to them, because I do remember Canada also playing a friendly against Mexico before leaving for the 2016 Olympics. And all the talk was, this is a really young squad. You wait and see in the few years what it's going to be. And here we are now. 6 years, if I did my math correctly, right? So obviously this is a nation that loves their soccer. This will be disappointing for them, that's for sure. But at the end of the day, the Canadians are very happy that they will be moving on to the New Zealand-Australia World Cup. When we return, we'll talk a little bit more about what they can do to break opponents down. We've now seen them open things up against their first opponent, Trinidad and Tobago. They had to grind this one out against a Panamanian side that had no problem playing Concacaf style football. So what does Game 3 have in store?
There is something quite magical about heading into a new destination. A journey into the unknown. Not alone, but together, as a country, as a sport, ready to soar. We are Canada, and this is our sport. This is our time.
The Summer of Soccer has a sensational lineup. Beginning July 4th, Canada's women's national team looks to qualify for the 2024 Olympics. The 2022 Canadian Championship Final will determine who will lift the coveted Voyageurs Cup, while the Canadian Premier League continues its march towards October's playoffs. All this as Canada's men's national team continues preparation for the World Cup in Qatar. This summer, one channel, OneSoccer.
Gatorade. With electrolytes to help replenish what's lost in sweat. Carbs to help fuel your working muscles. And fluids to help you hydrate. Scientifically formulated so you never stop competing. Rehydrate, replenish, refuel. Gatorade.
A new era for Canadian soccer begins today. Experience the emotion of every match. Watch all the highlights, the breaking news, the best debates, and analysis. And all the information about the Canadian stars playing abroad. Get access to the best of Canadian soccer from any device. Join the new dawn of an unstoppable game. See the rise on OneSoccer.ca.
Time Stats brought to you by Toyota. 14 shots, 5 on target by the Canadian. Bailey, the goalkeeper for Panama, did come up with some big saves, but Julia Grosso was the Canadian who managed to squeak the ball past her. That's now 3 goals in the last 2 games for Julia Grosso. All 3 her first goals for Canada, even though we did see her get the winning penalty shot there at the Olympics to claim the gold medals. We welcome you back into our OneSoccer studio. Andy Petrillo alongside Diana Matheson and Oliver Platt. Some mixed emotions going on in Canada right now. Obviously, there's a lot of happiness that they know the Canadians are going to their 8th straight World Cup. There's a lot of concern. I mean, I guess that's the word, right? Where you see just 1 goal scored and you wonder, should there have been more? So when you look at the way the Canadians play, what do they need to do? How do they how do they break down opponents better to really give the fans a sense that they commanded the game?
Yeah, well, in games like this, there's no space behind the defense, right? Because they just park themselves on the edge of the area. So there's nothing you can really do. So you have to go around. And, part of that obviously is working the ball into wide areas. And one thing I think Canada can do a better job of, and you see it at times, is the way they are able to kind of isolate Ashley Lawrence one-on-one with the defender on this left-hand side or Janine Becky on the other side. And this is a good example of how you can do that. You start on one wing, and then just make the defense move, right? Make it shift over to one side. That's how you create gaps. That's how you create a disconnect between the Panamanian defenders. And just forcing them to shift, right, is something that is vital in opening those holes up. I thought when Canada were able to do that, they had some success in finding ways through. They just didn't do it often enough. I thought, too often they were kind of too quick to put the first cross in that came to them or try and launch a ball into the box, try and force a pass. Just keep it moving side to side, keep the defense shifting side to side, and the gaps will eventually open up.
And I think for me, we saw in the stats 10 corners there. I thought Janine Becky's service day on the corners was very good. No goals on set pieces, and I think for Canada, a goal is obviously to win international tournaments, and the best teams in the world are very dangerous on set pieces, so that's for sure an area I'm sure Canada's looking at.
We love to look at the midfield as well. What's an area
who doesn't?
Yeah, who doesn't? A little midfielder over here. But what's an improvement maybe you'd like to see?
Yeah, I think against teams like Panama, they're playing in a block. So you've got two lines in front of the ball, and as much as possible, you want to try and get in behind those lines. I think the midfield, especially Julia, Jessie, we were going backwards too much. I think the plays where we did really well, and you can see here, Jessie Fleming, one touch through the middle, turns and plays forward. Too often, midfielders were receiving that ball and going backwards and sideways. Again, here, Jessie's getting it. She's still in front of the block, but positive pass looking in behind the back four. We didn't see either one of these types of plays too often in the game, and I think if we're going to really hurt Costa Rica, we've got to be looking for these things. Midfield's turning in between lines, going forward, not going backwards, and a few more balls in behind. I think Costa Rica is obviously going to play a bit more than these past two teams, so there's going to be a little more space in behind than we've had in the last few games, so hopefully there'll be chances for that sort of ball.
Yeah, and what you see there as well is Fleming, and I thought Quinn did a good job of it too. When they come deeper, they make the opponent make a choice, right? Like, are you going to come and press me, which means you're going to leave space behind you, or are you just going to leave me to have the ball here and pick a pass, right? And sometimes you do have to kind of pull back a little bit to create the space in front of you, and we saw a couple of good examples of it there.
I may be getting ahead of myself here, and we'll probably talk about this in the pregame show, definitely the postgame show on Monday, because we'll have a definite idea of what the semifinal is going to look like. If you had a choice, though, I mean, do you want Canada to avoid the USA in the semi and have a USA-Canada final? Or are you kind of intrigued by what Haiti and Jamaica as well can bring?
Well, I think if I'm going to choose, I think I'll wait for the U.S., play them in the final, and then, beat them in the final so they can go on to hopefully qualify for the Olympics later on. Haiti, Jamaica, though, super interesting. Jamaica in recent years has been a new contender participating in World Cups. They've got a great forward in Khadija Shaw. Now we're seeing Haiti, and we're talking about star players and the type of player who can make something happen at the international level. Haiti has a few of those players, and they've been able to really do some damage against teams. And yeah, Haiti, Jamaica, looking forward to that one.
Yeah, it's going to be a brilliant match. Haiti's an amazing story. They're so young. Like, go and look at their roster. It is unbelievably young and, punching way above their weight right now. I think you want to play the US in the final, though, right? You want to take one of those teams in the semi. And if you get to the final, and even if it doesn't go for you against the US, you're then falling into the Olympic playoff rather than having to win that third place game to get in the Olympic playoff. I think I'm describing that right. So, but either way, you want to play the Americans in the final for the trophy.
Well, it would be so disappointing because obviously whoever loses in that semi-final, while they still have a chance to qualify for the Olympics, because the second and third place teams do go into a playoff, you don't want to see that. You don't want to see that great North American battle happen in the semi-final. You want to see it happen in the final. But I know you had brought up, Rian Wilkinson, talking about the youth levels, at least, just the struggles that Haiti has given Canada.
Yeah, I mean, the last few cycles at the youth levels, U17 and then U20, Haiti has upset Canada a few times, and it's because of these top players like Mondesir. I was talking to Rian Wilkinson about it for this tournament, and she said when Mondesir was on the field against Canada, she knew her team was in trouble because this was a player that could change the game herself, despite Canada having a deeper player pool and all these things. Just that bit of magic, Haiti has it, and it's really exciting to see a smaller country in CONCACAF start to build like this. It's always a good news story for the region. I think everyone likes to see it.
Yeah, fantastic for the region, and a lot of players who have gone to play in France, right? So they're playing at a good level in terms of their club football as well. Again, you see the importance of that. Like, we can say, okay, it's not worked out quickly enough for Mexico in terms of the new league they've started. I think that will come, but you can still see in Haiti and you know, in Jamaica to a certain extent as well, the importance of these players getting really good minutes with their clubs, and that's strengthening the national teams massively.
Let's end off with the player who got the winning goal here tonight, because as much as we're looking at the forwards, and I'm sure they want to be in the conversation with getting the offense going for Canada, how much is Julia Grosso in that conversation, perhaps as being the one who can drive the offense? I mean, this is an attacking midfielder who is clearly proving her worth in these last 2 games. Is she the one maybe who drives it?
Yeah, I mean, 3 goals in 2 games. Yeah, Julia Grosso is a goal scorer, period. I know the forwards take their job very seriously too, and their job is to score goals. And I think they might take it personally that the midfield's been carrying the load a bit here. So I expect them to come out firing in the next game. But no, absolutely love to see midfield goals from Canada. I think that adds a depth to their attack that's going to make it even more threatening against top teams. But yeah, I think the forwards might take it personally. We'll see.
I hope so. You always need the midfielders chipping in, but especially I think in games like this, you mentioned it with Becky arriving from a bit deeper. Same thing with Grosso from midfield, right? It just gives you an added threat.
I want them to take it personally. A good little internal battle.
Yep.
Put some money on the board on that. Wait, are they allowed to still do that? Yes, you are, because it's fun. It's what you do to motivate each other as teammates. But the Canadians, 2-0, they know they're already going to the World Cup, but they still have work to do, qualifying for the Olympics and for Gold Cup. They will wrap up their group stage on Monday against Costa Rica. On the line there is top spot in the group. Thanks for tuning in tonight, and we'll see you on Monday night.
Cross trying to lead, come on! And they've broken Forge down! Daniels has put the host team in front. Bassett steps up over the wall, Bassett! What a goal! Escalante will try the cross, back post, and on! Score! Cavalry!
There is something quite magical about heading into a new destination. A journey into the unknown